Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. You are listening to Mental Fitness Matters. I am your host, Tracy Austin, and this is WSIC Radio. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone out there is having a great week. I am back for the third Thursday of the month with my favorite co-host in the building, Miss Erica Singleton. She's the Director of Communications for Professionals Beyond the Game. And we have a Athletes Shine Bright series that we do every third Thursday of the month. Good morning, Erica. Welcome to the show again. How are you?
Good morning. You know, I look forward to these Thursdays.
Me too.
I'm fantastic. I'm so happy to be in here, see your face, see produced in Kia. Good morning.
Yes.
And I can't wait to talk. We're so excited with Professionals Beyond the Game. We are a month out from our Shine Bright Summit. We will be doing that again this year. This time we're actually on Juneteenth. Last year we were the day after. We're June 19th, 2021. And it's just a full day of really addressing mental health issues, looking at transitions. Our keynote this year is Steve Smith. And he's going to be talking about like his transition from the game and the Steve Smith Foundation. So we are super excited. You can find out more at www.pbtg.org.
Cannot wait for that. It's coming up quick, and it's going to be such a fun time. It always is.
Oh, you're with us again.
You know, I cannot wait. It's so much fun. When we get together, the gang is back together. And every time we get together, it seems like it flies by. And we are excited about today's show. And our guest for today, speaking about professionals beyond the game, we're going to talk to the co-founder of the Art of Soccer Academy, David Oldham. David is a former D1 college soccer player for Winthrop University, where he earned his Bachelor of Science Degree in marketing. When his student athletic career ended, he went on to work for Procter Gamble in his hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio, leveraging his involvement in the inroads internship program, as a professional soccer pathway was not common at that time. After his time at P&G, David moved to Atlanta, where he began working in the nonprofit space as a state officer at Georgia Soccer, the state arm of U.S. Youth Soccer Association. At this time, it became clear that youth soccer landscape had not evolved much since his participation as a youth soccer player in Ohio. Through his soccer network, Dave co-founded the Art of Soccer Academy, which is a youth soccer and mentoring program that provides a grassroots soccer training experience for all skill levels of players who are overlooked in the current landscape of soccer in Metro Atlanta. The Art of Soccer Academy ultimately hopes to inspire children and families to use soccer as a valuable sports pathway. David, welcome to the show, buddy. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
We are so excited to have you. I was so excited when Erica sent your information over. I said, this is going to be fun, because when we think about soccer and the way that the environment looks in soccer, when I saw you out there in Atlanta, we are so excited to hear how you transitioned from a soccer player to marketing background's professional, right? You have a marketing background. And how did you give us a little bit about your story. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, long story, but short story at the same time. So coming from Cincinnati to South Carolina was a change for me. So, but soccer was the critical path between the two. But doing that, you know, having my marketing degree, meeting everyone, but I was actually a walk-on. I wasn't a scholarship player. So education was the forefront, with my mother being a teacher and things like that. So that was the biggest thing for me, was to ensure I had my degree, but I also wanted to play soccer in college. I wasn't recruited at all because I went to a football dominant high school. But within that, soccer was great, and then realized that I wasn't going to, at the time, and I guess it was back in 1999 when I graduated, soccer in the MLS was just in its infancy, and I wasn't really, for lack of better words, good enough to go overseas and play soccer. But I realized that soccer was something I still wanted to be involved in. So when I moved down to Atlanta, I realized that soccer was very big down here, bigger than it was in Ohio. And it's grown really over the past 20 to 30 years. But I just realized that the youth landscape still was a lot the same. There was very few Black young men and women that were playing soccer because there is essentially a financial gap for soccer, for youth soccer in this country. And so I realized that there was an opportunity to provide soccer, because I'm a nationally licensed coach, provide soccer and give them an opportunity like I had, traveling to different places to play soccer, but then giving them the opportunity to use soccer as a networking tool, similar to golf, 20 and 30 years ago, to actually just become involved and grow and get that college scholarship that I was unable to attain. So.
That's huge. And I like how you just said that, especially with the financial gap, because when you think about opportunities and creating that pathway in the African American community, especially, normally our pathways may look through sports of basketball or American football. And so creating opportunities through soccer, and Atlanta is a huge area. What's
Yes.
the Atlanta FC club? The FC?
Atlanta United,
Yeah,
actually.
Atlanta United. Yeah.
Yeah, they largest soccer crowds. Every time they play, they have about 60 to 70,000 people that descend on Mercedes-Benz Stadium in downtown Atlanta to watch the game. So, been to a few games. It's a great atmosphere.
That's huge. And so what would you say, as you guys, for the Art of Soccer Academy, what do the programs look like for your youth? What ages are you guys servicing? What does that look like?
Well, we service ages 6 to 18 in Southwest Atlanta. So, and the programs essentially go for about 10 months. We start sometime in July. This time we'd start in July if COVID wasn't, prevalent as it is, for lack of better words. We would start from July and we'd go through playing the soccer season in the fall with travel tournaments, whether it's Metro Atlanta or the state of Georgia. Sometimes we take our players to Florida or Virginia. We've actually been back to Ohio and actually came to Charlotte a few times in the past to play the soccer tournaments. And then obviously we have the holidays, and then we move into our spring season, which we would just rinse and repeat for soccer programming. And our soccer is generally practice goes for 2 to 3 days a week, and then you have games on the weekend. So the parents and the players, we see a lot of each other. So we really become a tight-knit family, and really I call them a village. So because we have to take care of the youth and make sure that they're on the right track.
I think that's huge, and I love what you guys are doing, because I think when we think about professionals beyond the game and the opportunities for networking and bringing community together, I think soccer, like you were talking about, as a pathway, knowing that our youth, that we are more than athletes in terms of our performance. And so giving them the opportunity to see you as a coach and see somebody that looks like them and say, you know what, this may be an opportunity for me. This may be something that I can kind of get into and have funding to support my skill set, to have funding to support my emotional and mental development, to have good people around me, to know that I can go this path and it can be an option. Because I know from a mentality standpoint, there's been a lot of research that said that mentality of some of our youth athletes, as it looked at for soccer, there might not be a pathway for me there. So I go another direction.
Correct.
So building a community around that, I think, is huge.
Saying that it's a village is important too. I think everybody really understands the costs associated, like football. They understand the costs, what goes into playing basketball, the ones that are kind of lesser in cost. And then when you put your girls, young ladies into and young men into dance and cheer, the costs really start to escalate. But a lot of people don't understand the costs associated with soccer, and specifically being in travel soccer, and to stay competitive, you have to be, correct?
Yeah, you have to be. We always say it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's not, we live in the internet society, so there's instant gratification with the kids. You search something and you get a response or something that you can choose from. So you can't just play soccer for, couple months out of the year and this, that, and the other, and just expect to be the same player. So it's really a rhythm. And when the players find their internal rhythm and find out what best suits them in the soccer game, because the soccer is a very cerebral and organic sport. So the soccer ball never comes through the same way. The games are never the same way. There's no timeouts, things like that. So you just really have to think on your feet. And that's really something that the kids and the young teenagers that we do coach need to realize, is that everything is not always going to work out the way you've planned it. And you have to be adaptable, not just on the soccer field, but in society as a whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah. As their coach, you touched on a couple of different things, like it being such a cerebral sport, also getting their mindset together as well as their bodies in the sport. But like outside of the sport, what are some of the things that you have recognized as a coach that you have to work with, not only with your athletes, but with their parents to prepare them mentally for what the sport is going to bring to them and then life beyond the sport?
That's a loaded question. So let me take that from a different standpoint.
Okay.
So soccer is not ingrained in the African American community. In the Latino community and Hispanic community, soccer is generational. Overseas, soccer is generational. Here, soccer is technically been treated like a throwaway sport. It's like, well, if I can't play football or I can't play basketball or track, I'm going to put my child in community recreational soccer, whether it's the YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club. But there's this concept of, the AAU travel and the parents, since they've never played the game, they don't understand the game. In most instances, just again, never just really knew anybody that played soccer. The whole point is to teach them as we're teaching their children. So a lot of it is parent education. And doing that, we always tell the parents that, well, we want to build scholar athletes. It's not about just playing the game to try to get a scholarship, because not every child is going to get a college scholarship. So it's not about training, weightlifting, conditioning, and all these things just to get a college scholarship. It's to show discipline. It's to show, you have to get up if things don't, in the morning to work out and all these other things. And it's not just coming to practice, it's doing things off the field as well. And you have to eat properly. You have to cut down on, carbs and proteins during the season and things like that. And just understand that soccer can be something that your child can evolve in. And it's not just playing the game, it's becoming a referee later or becoming a coach, to improve the game and not just play the game as well. So that's the biggest thing we try to teach the parents, is that it's not just about the game, playing the game and wins. It's about technical and tactical development. But what that also improves is their acumen in school. So understanding that, the grades may not be, done well or this, that, and the other, but just learning to find different ways to actually appreciate the school aspect, and then that sort of relates back into the soccer fields.
Do you find that mentally challenging for you as a coach in your community to provide that education for parents, let them see that, scholarship is not necessarily the goal here, could be a potential, but there's so much more that we're training and that we're teaching that we want to instill in your youth? Do you find that buy-in from parents to be a challenge, or the community at large?
I do, because generally, with society in America, is that if you're playing a sport, you're playing to become a professional,
Right.
you're playing to become a college athlete. And again, that's not always the case. Every college essentially has, whether it's D1, D2, D3, or NAIA, they have a soccer program, but not all levels of soccer provides soccer scholarships. So the first question that generally coaches ask us is, well, how are their grades? Because if you're talking to me, then your child is probably a good soccer player that you're training, but how are their grades? How are they as an individual off the field? What type of involvement do they have in the community? So during our journey through the soccer program, not only are we training them, we introduce them to robotic leagues and coding and reading and things like that, to allow them to just explore those options, because soccer, again, won't always be a pathway to college. But if you get to college, like myself, I actually walked on.
Yeah.
So I earned that college scholarship at Winthrop after, walking on, but I got to Winthrop through my education. So that's the biggest thing. And, we want to make sure that the kids graduate from high school and go to college and become global citizens at the end of the day.
Hats off to you for that. What would you say your needs are right now, Dave? Because you're going to be sharing this with your network, your community, the people out there in Atlanta. And I know sometimes where soccer clubs and soccer academies, in certain communities, they can bring in professional athletes and say, hey, this is the person that is going to help bring alongside this nonprofit organization. What do you need as it relates to the Art of Soccer Academy in terms of continued growth and awareness of what you guys are doing? What are your needs?
The biggest need right now is a field location, because just like in real estate, it's location, location, location. So
Yeah.
we've been fortunate enough to partner with organizations like Soccer in the Streets here in Atlanta, and other organizations to help us just have a consistent location in order to train, right? But if we had our own location, then the sky's the limit as far as the things we're able to do. We can have more training, we can have film sessions, we can do soccer, not just film sessions, but also do school sessions and things like that, having tutoring and other things like that, with series coming in and doing things with the Atlanta United Academy and also the professional team. But the biggest thing right now is location. We're currently searching for land, and obviously land is not cheap. So being able to build that case that we have a model that works, and we like to say affordable soccer should be the main thought process, as opposed to charging what they actually charge right now. But if we had a location, we can minimize those costs and just synergize all our efforts to put in a location so we can get referees certified, we can get more coaches certified that'll train the children, have a pipeline, for lack of better words, in Southwest Atlanta to matriculate the youth through elementary, middle, high school, and on to college.
Awesome.
You talked about making your helping your athletes become global citizens. And there has been a lot going around. It goes without saying in the last year, from a national perspective and an international global perspective. I'm going to go ahead and throw one at you that is, again, a loaded question. As a Black man coaching in Georgia as a whole, what you are facing, how do you prepare your students, your athletes, mentally with all that is surrounding them, and also what they face? Because you don't even have to say that they've had to face racism on the pitch, on the field, because there's not a sport out there where they don't. And so how do you mentally prepare not only yourself but your athletes?
You're right, it was a loaded question.
It is.
I prepare not only our children, but I also prepare their parents to say that you're going to hear things on the soccer field once you get out of Metro Atlanta, because again, we are in Georgia, that you may not generally hear on a regular basis. But the stereotype is, when they see an all-Black soccer team walk onto the soccer field, is that they're not going to have technical ability, they're just going to be fast, and there's going to be a physical game, and all the other stereotypes that go with Blacks in general, African Americans in general in society. And we're not going to have control, we're going to be angry and things like that. So the biggest thing is just having self-confidence that you're doing the right thing, regardless of the things that you hear on the soccer field, regardless of how you feel that the referees are calling the game, or the things you hear from the parents, is that we're here to be ourselves and 100% of ourselves. And no one's going to stop us from being ourselves while we're here playing the game. And it's not really about the wins and losses. It's about showing families and other communities in other parts of Georgia that we can play soccer, and we can play soccer at the highest level, because we've placed 13 or 14 young ladies and young men in college on scholarship over the past 10 years. And that is something that is really not heard of when you're dealing with, we're the smallest essentially program in the state of Georgia, in Southwest Atlanta, that produces soccer players. So just preparing them that you're going to hear things that you may not like, but let's play the game. Let's play it respectfully. Let's respect the game, and the game will end up respecting you. And a lot of times after the end of the game, the perceptions are then changed, that, wow, an all-Black soccer team can play soccer on a regular basis and can play the game. The beautiful game is what, soccer is called globally. So.
Yes, we can. That's huge. Yeah. Buddy, how do you say for yourself, how do you define mental fitness, and what do you do to take care of your own mental wellness?
A lot of walking, a lot of walking, just taking time to have balance and find that balance is how I treat myself, but then also try to, pass on to the children and the families, is that you have to take time, not only with school and soccer, but you have to find a balance. And in order to do that, you have to be sure of yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing that our children are missing, is that with all the exposure from the internet and the gram and TikTok and things like that, there's all these things that, well, you can do this or you can do that. As you know, that a lot of that a lot of those things aren't their authentic selves. And being your authentic self and is the biggest thing with all the exposure that these young children get, is being your authentic self and finding your authentic self. And that's the biggest thing in finding that balance, because we have a lot of kids that still are learning the game, but with Atlanta United being here, they can actually see the game and understand what it takes to be successful within the game of soccer. So that's the biggest thing for mental health is you have to be able to take the good and the bad, but then understand that it is just a game. And we're playing this game because we love the game. We have a passion for the game, but at the same time, you know, you have to find that balance. And you may have missed a goal. You may have missed a penalty kick. You may have lost to a team in the last minute because there was a mental breakdown in the back third of the field. But understand that it's just a game, and you learn from your experiences and you put those in your toolkit, and then you try to implement or adapt for the next thing that comes around that may be an obstacle that you weren't expecting.
I love it. And it sounds like, too, as you're kind of speaking through what you teach, not only through the parent education, but the training that you guys provide in a skill set way. I love the beauty of sports because it builds so many more characteristics of resilience, of staying calm. A lot of kids are coming out there channeling that energy and emotion through sport. And so having a place and a space to feel safe to do that, it's beautiful. So the opportunities that you guys are providing our youth, they're huge. They're making an impact. It sounds like not only where you are, but to have 13 or 14 go on to the college level, you're right. That's not heard of. So hats off and kudos to all that you're doing.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're very proud of that. We're very proud of that. And that's the other thing, is that not only once they get out of the program, once you're in the program, we say you never get out. What we give you as a youth, you're supposed to give back. And a lot of our alumni, I guess our oldest players and alumni are probably around 25, 26 years old. Some of them have families, are married now, but they're giving back. They show up at practice and they tell the stories to the parents and the children about what they went through and how they learned from us as coaches and gleaned from us as coaches to be better people. And it just brightens my day when I see players that, we had one player went to Howard, then played soccer, and one went to Fairleigh Dickinson in New Jersey. And when they come back here and they move back to Atlanta, they come and provide their time. And it just warms my heart to see them, because we were teaching them when they were 12, 13, and 14, and now they're giving back. And that's the biggest thing is, if you're given something, if you're given an opportunity, don't forsake that opportunity by not giving back of your talents. And that's really just more that purpose-driven vision that we're trying to do. It's just a very cyclical idea of soccer, not just come in, play soccer, and leave. We want you to come back. We want you to grow the game, because it lacks that infrastructure, specifically in the Black community. And I don't like to say the term underserved. I like to say the term overlooked. So we want to make sure that they're giving back and they're seen, and so that the kids have an idea of, yes, we can do it because Coach Dave and all the other coaches have helped other people that look like us, and now they're coming back to help. And this is something that I would like to do as well. So.
Big deal. Coach, we got about 2 minutes left, and I want to make sure people know how to contact you, reach you. So feel free to drop any of your information on how they can support your organization. Go for it, buddy.
Yeah, so if you go on Facebook, it's Facebook.com/Art of Soccer. That's our main medium of communication right now. We're actually working to get our website back up. With COVID, we took it down so we can actually redo some things to the website. But our website will be Taosa, TAOSAFC.com. So you can visit us there probably in a few months once we get everything back up and running. But the best way to reach out to us is Facebook.com/Art of Soccer.
It has been a pleasure having you. We cannot thank you for all that you're doing for our youth and so many in the community, our parents, our leaders. Keep leading. You're making an impact. So thank you for taking off your corporate hat and getting in the trenches. We appreciate you, buddy.
I appreciate the invite, and you always do great work, and keep doing what you're doing.
Awesome. Miss Erica? Our time flies when we're having fun.
Oh, every time 30 minutes is never enough, but we make it work.
We do. We make it work. Go out and shine bright like the stars that you are. I want my Mental Fitness Matters community to have a great week. Keep shining. Be kind. Love yourself. We'll see y'all next week.